out. That was the beauty of it. It was a beauty. Actually, my favorite aircraft was Su-7. You could throw some bricks or spanners into the intake and the engine may be finished forever, but it would not let down the pilot. It kept on giving power and you could keep on flying. That is how good that aeroplane was. Unfortunately, it used to drink fuel like mad. That's why it had to be. That is one of the reasons it retired very early from the Air Force. I would not, if I had any say, I was one of those, say, retire in such a hurry. It was a beautiful aeroplane. So that is it. Then, of course, we refueled that aircraft only with the internal, those tanks which were not punctured. That ground crew they were wonderful. They checked out and they said, this much fuel you can carry, it will not leak. So he had to eject over Dacca Air Field. So that is how it was. So that was the main thing. And thereafter, we stopped going to Dhaka. I think we went only on 3rd and 4th, 2 days, because Sabres. Also, I saw one of the attacks on the ORP. So I attacked the Sabre also. Then, of course, after that was normal war. There is something called, I don't, having been the veterans in the Air Force too, that firing the guns, live ammunition, and operational mission on 3rd of December, we were told that once we crossed the border into East Fire, a very short burst to see that your guns are working. Sense of it, very different nature. The ears went red, red hot. You could feel them under your helmet. Because normally you don't fire just like that. And by the way, Sukhoi never had ball ammunition. Sukhoi had only live ammunition, high explosive, HE ammunition. Also, we had something called, I think, armored piercing, but that was only when we were helping the army, closer support. Then we carried alternate bullets between high explosive and armored piercing. Then every day there were new targets. We had a flight lieutenant, I forget his name. He was from South India, wonderful person, photo interpreter.
Okay, sir.
Was attached to the photographs from the belly camera. Those of you who have worked on the Su should know, because Sukhoi, we could bring back the photograph. Every 4th Sukhoi had a belly camera. So he would mark so-and-so type of target. This is a suspected so-and-so type of target. So we used to go with those printouts, locate those targets in whichever area we had taken, the photographs were taken, and attack those targets. That is how a moving planes carrying ammunition and military vehicles were attacked. That's how our targets, what now we call them opportunity targets also. Along with that, if we saw, 5, 6, 10 military vehicles going in a line, we knew that they can be easily taken as a target and destroyed. So it was very interesting, I would say. Now, after 40, 50 years, it sounds very remote and those days, it was very, very exciting. Absolutely exciting. Can't believe. And now I understand at my age why fighter pilots have to be in the age of 25 or 20 to 40, 45. Bus. Uske baad, see, they don't have the human beings, don't have that, they start losing the courage, because family comes into being, then they start thinking, thoda wife ke liye, thoda bachon ke liye, safe raho. So how do you, that's it. That is the whole story practically.
So I
And
may
then,
continue with the citation part with your permission. For personal safety and in the face of heavy round of fire, he continued with his attacks, which resulted in the silencing of the guns on the airfield. There's also the loss of Sabre aircraft on the ground.
one Sabre aircraft.
Yes, sir. Sabre aircraft. So apart from that, in one of your subsequent missions, you are responsible for spending considerable time over the enemy area in locating a well-camouflaged P.O.L dump and in destroying it. So you located the
Yes,
P.O.L and destroyed it.
P.O.L. See, this petroleum dumps,
Yes, sir.
obviously, all armies, including our army, do this camouflage. And the camouflage you do in a funny way, in the sense, if there is greenery and trees and all that, on top of that you're putting net, some artificial sort of trees and branches, so that from the air aeroplanes or the pilot will not be able to distinguish. So that's where I said that our photo interpreter officer was so good. He would mark out on the printout of the previous photograph taken by somebody that this is what looks like a P.O.L dump, or this is where there appears to be ammunition dump. So try firing on it. So we would fire just one short burst of front guns. If we saw any smoke or explosion, then we knew that is the correct target. And of course, we fired in a big way. That's how we used to do. And of course, in between, we also carried for this, you said no, like I don't remember now whether it was a petrol dump or there was a ammunition train, for which we also carried napalm bombs.
Okay,
so that the napalm bomb, if it hits a target, God help that target, because it's all gets engulfed in flame, nice and proper. Nobody escaped. Unfortunately, human lives are also lost, no doubt.
Oh, okay. So thus throughout the Flight Lieutenant D.C. Nayyar displayed gallantry, professional skill and devotion to duty of a high order. So accordingly, that citation was there and you were awarded with Veer Chakra on January 26th, December 1972. So hats off to you, sir, for all the valor. I request all of them also to say hats off to our today's hero, Wing Commander Dinesh Chander Nayyar, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. And God bless you all. And you people have left your whatever work or you're doing and getting into this talk. And also, I must wish you the very best for the book that is coming out.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Patak is on the job. He is going to publish.
And not only that, I think first it has to be compiled. Is it already compiled?
Being compiled, sir. Being compiled.
Being compiled, then there has to be proofreading and lot of effort goes in to produce a book like that. What is going to be the title of the book?
Patak sir, you may come in.
The title of the book will be naturally 71 War.
Okay.
Heroes of 71 War. Heroes of 71 War.
Is it only 71 Air War, or is it also the whole 71 War of Eastern Sector?
No, sir. Mainly, I'm concerning. First part. I am going to be only for Air Force.
Okay. Only confining ourselves to the Air Warriors.
Confined to Air Force only. Air Force only.
Not only Air Warriors, but also I think only the Eastern Sector, because Western Sector there was too much of activity. So much it was unbelievable.
It is going to be both the sectors, Eastern and Western Sector.
Oh wow!
Complete Air Force, I am going to involve in that one.
So you are going to also cover my very close, dear friends and famous friends, Dilip Parulkar and Mali Grewal.
Yes, sir.
And of course, some of them are no more. The Harish Singh ji is no more.
He is no more.
Third. And then from 26th Squadron in the Western Sector, we lost Kadam, we lost K.K. Mohan, and of course Diva Singh.
Yes, sir. Their stories also I am going to mention in that. I have them. I am going to cover both the sectors.
I know in the Western Sector, I only know most of the stories of 26th Squadron.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And also another person who took part from 26th Squadron, then Flight Lieutenant Ravish Malhotra, who was a standby astronaut.
Okay, sir.
And then he was a test pilot already, and then he continued to be test pilot, and then he commanded Hindon Air Force Base, and finally he resigned from Air India, from Air Force.
Air Force, yes, sir.
So thank you, everyone.
I am going to cover both the sectors. I had already interviewed with Parulekar sir because he is in Pune only. I had been to his place some time back, and I had his interview also. So that is going to be a separate chapter on these people, their POWs and their rescue.
Have you met Grewal? Yes. Have you met Grewal?
I have met Grewal on phone, and
where did you meet him in Rampur or where?
No, I don't know. I contacted him. Sir, I contacted him on a phone.
Okay. I think he is now settled in Rampur.
So, he is going to share his experience to me in a short time. And we are going to have him on Zoom meeting also.
Okay.
He has given me very nice response.
Sir, with your permission, I think we understand and acknowledge your health conditions. Despite of all this, you have come on to the call and shared some of your experiences. So So with your permission, sir, we have our 71 one war heroes with us on the call, like Group Captain Das sir, DK Das sir is there, and we have Wing Commander Karnik sir is there, and we have Wing Commander Kavatra sir is there. They're all Veer Chakra holders. So I think they would like to share with you some of their points. They would like to ask you some questions. So you may kindly answer.
Nobody
them,
wants
sir.
to ask questions. I know Kavatra very well. Yes.
So, sir, I request all these heroes to share their experience with our today's guest, sir. Starting from Das sir, Group Captain Das sir.
I am from 80th course. Anyway,
80th
it was
course.
nicely put. Thank you much. I am from 80.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
80th
course. That is 3 courses senior to even Dilip Parulkar. I think which course is Patni? Vinod Patni is which course? Vinod Patni. Or
one course is 79.
He's 79.
Yes.
Okay. Because I know.
Just to update you, sir, Nayyar sir, our group captain Das is the hero of Longowala battle, sir.
Okay, hunters. Then
yes.
He should know.
Yes, sir.
Then he should know Gosai.
Yes, he was my number 2.
He is a very close friend of
mine.
He
was my number 2.
We were in Bidar together. We were actually that time, Jaisalmer was commanded by Wing Commander Bawa. Maybe he had become group captain, I don't know. And we were, Gosai and myself were together as instructors in Bidar.
Okay, sir.
And then that is soon after the war, because he's also a Veer Chakra awardee.
Okay, sir. So thank you, Das, Group Captain Das, sir. Would like to ask anything more?
No, I have nothing to ask as such, but I am thrilled to know more about all these things because these are not available for us. So this particular forum has been...
It should become available now. After Pathak writes the book, then it will be available to all of us if we want.
Because
I am looking forward to that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you and take care.
And you alone, is there anybody else along with you staying?
Yes, my wife stays with me.
Okay.
Yes. But I am in my room. She's in her room.
so nice, sir. Thank you, Group Captain Das, sir, for your participation. And I also request our Wing Commander Karnik, sir, to share some of his experiences with our Wing Commander Nayyar, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Wing Commander. Actually,
sir,
yes.
Question for you. I have a question for you. Is Ajju Karnik related to you?
Yeah. Yes, by relation, yes, there is, but a little long distance. So
yeah, he is no more. He is no more. Recently, he was a flight commander under me in Pune in the MiG squadron. That's how I know him very well.
Yeah, that's right. He retired as Air Marshal.
Yes. I am the only one who retired as a wing commander because I came to Air India.
Thank you for your narrative, mainly because everyone reads at the macro level. Macro means the overall situation of the war, the air war, and the rest of it. However, it is only people like us who are still existing and kicking about that we give our personal experience, which presently are available because we are available.
And as a matter of fact, that reminds me, during that period, while East Pakistan was expected to surrender or had surrendered, I am not sure, when the Hunter Squadron moved over from, I think, Klaikunda to Jessore, which was in East Pakistan then, now Bangladesh, and it started operating from Jessore. East Pakistani forces had rough time.
Yeah, that's right. I think it was number 14 squadron, if I remember correctly.
Yes, 14 squadron.
Yeah, that's right.
14 hunters.
Yeah, because I was on the bomber side. The interdictor bomber.
Were you flying what? 6 squadron or 26? 16 squadron.
No, I was 16 squadron. And we were operating 2 types of aircraft. Yeah, bomber as well as the interdictors. Interdictors are the one that carry rockets also and 4 20mm guns also.
Besides the bomber, which are the other aircraft?
Yeah, interdictor. Many people amongst us think that a Canberra is only a bomber carrying only a bomb, but it is not so. We also have interdictor one.
Because you flew the Canberras a lot. I have a question. How does it feel for a Canberra pilot? How does a navigator feel in Canberra who's lying low in the nose? How does he feel? I don't want to be a navigator in Canberra at all.
He's at his workstation or in the prone position, and as you know, all the decisions are taken by the captain, and the decision,
no, that is true. He can't say no to flying. If he wants to fly, he has to be in.
Yeah, because after all, the night flying as well as inclement weather flying, though we didn't have weather radar those days, yet whenever we had to divert and we required his help, because particularly at night,
yes.
and there are many situations where you cannot be planning on the ground. It is only in the air, particularly when diversions, when somebody chasing, like I had the case where F-104s were chasing me from my raid at Murid, and when I was instead of coming to India, when I got my tail radar, which is called Orange Putter, they started
The raid was on which place?
Murid Air Field.
Murid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That was
one of your pilots of 85th course. I'll tell you his name. He was in the sixth squadron. Yeah, sixth squadron in Pune. In night flying, they crashed and they died. All the crew died.
No, that was the AN-12. We were practicing at night in the valley flying near the KK.
No. I'm talking about I'm talking about Canberra.
Okay, then Usher maybe.
Usher. Dilip Usher.
Yeah, that's right.
Dilip Usher. So very sad. Something I don't know really what went wrong, but it was horrible.
Yes.
Because Usher and we came back from Iraq on the same day.
Okay.
I joined in Pune to 21 Squadron and he joined and then took over 6th Squadron.
Then we must have
After he died, then of course your Goat Bole took over. I don't know which course.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Karnik, sir. And we have another hero, sir. Veer Chakra holder, Wing Commander Kawatra, sir.
PPS Kawatra.
Yes, sir. PPS Kawatra, sir.
Now, I must tell you all, myself, Danny, as well as Gosai, we all were together in Bida.
You are referring Danny means sir Dinesh Nayyar, sir. Yeah.
No, I'm referring Wing Commander Nayyar.
His
first name is Danny.
Danny, yes, sir.
And they were very senior to me. And Gosai, Wing Commander Nayyar, and myself, I was doing my ATC tenure in Bida. And even at that time, late Aisha sir was also there, if I am not mistaken. And he has brought out those old memories. In fact, I must thank. In fact, very nicely you have brought back a lot of old memories. And this is not a forum now to go over. I will get hold of your telephone number and then speak to you on a line. Beautifully, you have narrated what actually happened in the East. Because I was in the Western sector. I was totally unaware of all these things. Now, coming back to the navigator's life in Canberra, when I was in 21 Squadron, it was in, I think, 69. At that time, late 16 Squadron was in Gorakhpur in 69. I was posted to 21 in Gorakhpur. At that time, 21 was NAT, where I was declared unfit for NAT. I had to go to Bagdogra for something on some temporary duty. And one Canberra was going in the morning to Gorakhpur. I asked for a lift from late Wing Commander Gautam. He happened to be from Indore. I knew him also. He said, "You come along, but you have to sit on that seat." And I was strapped up, in 45 minutes we reached. And I'm telling you, it was like I was in a cage. I couldn't see anything from there except navigator. He was in that hole and Wing Commander Gautam was flying. And when I landed over there, he said, "How was the trip?" I said, "I just can't tell you my experience." So you can very well imagine, you are in a closed canopy and when you land up and you open your eye, you are sitting in Bagdogra. That was, so you can very well imagine. This is my personal. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I want to know, PPS, where are you located nowadays?
I am in Mau, very close to Indore.
Mau? Isn't Mau close to Indore, is it?
Yeah, that's
That
correct.
means
That's Danny, when I left 82, I left 21 Squadron. At that time, you were flight commander there. I left for Staff College, and from there, I moved around. I took premature
yeah.
retirement in 90.
Okay. And
There was,
so Mao is they've got a big army unit there, right? Big
oh
army
yes,
presence.
yeah, that's correct. It's a Makkah for army, I'll say.
Correct. Okay. All well,
It,
all well.
Everything is fine. Everything is fine. I'll catch hold of your landline number, then we'll discuss it. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Beautifully narrated. Over to you, Mr. Rao.
Thank you. Take care.
Now we have, I have a special announcement that our special guest, Air Commodore Bhargava, is trying to join the call. And any moment.
Oh, which Bhargav?
Air Commodore Bhargava, sir.
Is that brother Bhargav?
Yes, sir, brother Bhargava.
Yes, Jawaharlal Bhargav.
Yeah, sir. He's finding some difficulty. He's likely to join. And before that, we have another distinguished guest from our army, sir. Our regular participant and an expert in all these things. That is Brigadier Apte, sir. So I request Brigadier Apte, sir, to share some of his views with our today's hero, sir. Welcome, Brigadier, sir.
I must compliment Nayyar, sir, for a wonderful information that you have given. Absolutely top class. I am Brigadier Ajit Apte. I fought the war on the Eastern Front in the Jessore-Khulna sector. I am also one of those, in fact, the only one who blindfolded Flight Lieutenant Parvez Bedi, who later became the Air Chief Marshal of the Pakistan Air Force, because that was the attack on our gun positions and tank concentrations in 71 after the Battle of Garibpur, in which Don Lazarus, Massey and Ganpati and Suarez came into action. So that is number one.
And Roy Massey, late Roy Massey also.
Roy Andrew Massey, Ganapati,
yes.
Don Lazarus, Suarez, and the fighter controller was Bachi. And we had a grand reunion. I think seldom in any air force will the fighter pilots then reunite with the ground forces to get the actual action, what happened on ground that day. But it was a beautiful display of a dogfight. That is number one. My own first cousin, Flight Lieutenant Pradeep Apte, was killed in action in the first counter-air strike on Doranaro railway station. He flew along with Dinky Jathar, and he was shot down, captured and killed. And
no, that was where? Where was that?
Western Front, sir. In
that was Western. Correct. That is Western Front. Whereas all the others, this Massey, Lazarus, and Soros, and
yes, Eastern Front.
They were all in the Eastern sector.
They were with us on the Eastern Front. I am just giving a mention that I have a strong connection with the Air Force, because not only was my first cousin killed in action, he was with the HFs, but my Bua's husband,
what's his name?
Flight Lieutenant Pradeep Apte. He was 96th pilot.
Yeah, I was in Maruth for 5 years.
Yes, sir, but he was killed in action in 71 on HF-24s. And
yeah, but I flew HF-24 only from 75 onwards,
yes,
and he was already gone by then.
Yes, he was already gone. Right. And incidentally, my uncle was Air Marshal Malse. I don't know what he was during the 71 war. May have been the Deputy Chief of Air Staff or Vice Chief. I'm not too sure. But I had Malse.
Starting with Mike, right?
Absolutely correct, sir. Yankee Victor Malse. And
Yankee Victor, sir. YV, sir. Yankee Victor.
Okay, Yankee Victor. Okay, I got it. Because he was, I don't know, I have known him last as Scene Chief sometimes.
Correct, sir. He was AOCNC Eastern Air Command.
Okay.
Right, and then of course what you have given is correct. Before I just comment on one or two things what you said, I knew Flight Lieutenant, later I think Group Captain Asher very well. He was a divisional officer when I was a cadet in the National Defence Academy. Asher.
The name Asher. Okay.
Yes, he was a Devo in Foxtrot Squadron when I was a cadet in Juliet Squadron. And incidentally, I met his wife and I conducted her visit to the NDA just a month before the lockdown. She is here in Pune. So
I forget her name now. Because I told you we were in Iraq together.
Correct, sir.
Philip Asher and his wife.
Yes, sir.
I forget her name. That time they had one son, I think.
Yes, absolutely correct. She got remarried So I took her to the NDA for living old time memory sake. And
that's a very
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Very good thing that she got remarried. And the mishap took place when they were very young.
Very correct, sir. Very correct. And of course, as far as your narration is concerned, beautiful, sir. I'll just add on one thing since you mentioned about impromptu targets, and just for the information of all the air warriors, we, the Army and the Air Force, are very closely integrated in what we call as fighter bomber mission support, close air support missions, and air defense support. So we have an FAC with us always. In our battle, we had
Vice
Lieutenant Sharad Sabur, who later became AOC Southern Air Command, and
wow,
they helped us. Yes, he helped me a lot in getting ammunition for the Battle of Jessore. And the day the airstrike took place, we had been looking for our Air Force, but I think they were purposely not called in because war was not declared. But on 22nd November, they came in.
When did Jessore, Army moved into Jessore Airfield?
Yes, sir. I'll tell you exactly, sir. I entered Jessore on 7th early morning at 0200 hours. We captured Jessore on night 6th, 7th. I was there. Before that, we had fought the Battle of Garipur, in which the 14th Squadron PAF was knocked out.
Which date did you capture Jessore?
Early morning, 7th December, sir.
Wow, great.
Yeah, I was there. I entered Jessore at 0200 hours. We captured Jessore. We were supported. Our northwestern flank was protected by the 50 Independent Parachute Brigade, less a battalion group which had gone for dropping of the airborne offensive at Tangail, where Air Force played a major part, and the battalion group was dropped with one parachute field regiment of the artillery. Punni Bridge was captured, and soon after that, after the 11th, the 50 Independent Parachute Brigade was pushed on to the Western Front. Our medium regiment also was pushed out to the Western Front, but we opened up the access towards Khulna, and at the same time, your later Air Chief Marshal P.O.L led the attack on that government house in Dhaka, which literally broke Niazi's back with the airborne offensive. His Air Force attack, and Niazi then decided to surrender. So, incidentally, sir, I must tell you that I have experienced this close air support with the Air Force because I was a brigade commander during the Kargil conflict in 1999, and my brigade was deployed on the Western Front in case war broke out other than the Kargil sector. So, I was there exactly at the Longewala battle scene in 71. I was there in 99.
No, my question now. But you were in the east. You were in the east, and you were involved with the capture of Jessore. And then, when did you move to Western sector?
Yes, sir. I will tell you, sir. What happened was, actually, for the information of all, the initial plan was only to capture Jessore and declare Bangladesh as a new nation. There was no intentional plan to go on to Khulna or to Dhaka. Therefore, the goalposts changed after the capture of Jessore, because there was always a threat of the Chinese front being opened up, the US 7th Fleet sailing in, which they did, the Russians countering that, and at the same time a thought of going to the United Nations so that India's image is not tarnished as an aggressor nation. But all this changed because of General Sagat, the excellent support we got from the Air Force for the airborne offensive at Tangail, and the goalposts changed. The center of gravity shifted to Dhaka and Khulna. So the 78 Medium Regiment was withdrawn, but my regiment was put on alert to be airlifted into the Western Front on 10th of December. So my battery was ready with air load transport tables, but the stiff fight outside Khulna by 107 Pakistan Infantry Brigade, which refused to surrender under Brigadier Hayat, that changed the complexion. So soon after the ceasefire, because I was there for the surrender ceremony at Khulna, immediately after that, my regiment and the complete 2 corps shifted onto the Western Front. I hope that answers your question, sir.
At that time, I remember something I would like to add that. May I add something?
Yeah, please, sir.
Yes, please, sir.
Okay. Now, what happened, like he said, Brigadier Sahab just now said, that we also wound up by 10th of December, practically the war in East Pakistan was over. So, we were told to move to West, and the squadron moved on the 10th of December to via Ambala to Amritsar.
Okay, sir.
And that old first aircraft, which was partly damaged, and and another aircraft were repaired. Then two of us, myself and that time Flight Lieutenant Pandit, 85th course, we flew those two aircraft on the 14th, no, I think on the 12th to Ambala. And then we were told to wait in Ambala for one night or 2 nights, I think, because Amritsar had only, I don't know, 15, 20, 12 pens, aircraft pens. Now, that 32 squadron which had fought the war from Amritsar was not willing to vacate. They wanted to continue till the end. They knew the war was leading. Finally, they were made to vacate and our squadron moved in. But I only did a couple of recce flights in Amritsar when on 17th the ceasefire was declared. That's what happened. So I also remembered that we had also gone to operate from western sector. Yes, correct, thank you, Brigadier Saab. Thank you.
Absolutely correct, sir, what you have said. And hats off to the Air Force. Well done, sir. Excellent.
Oh, I think it's the bulk of the work goes to Army. Because, see, face to face, never come across the Army. For us, it is only, shall we say, imagination, the enemy. But we don't see the enemy in that sense. Except some aircraft we engage in the aircraft in the air, then it is different. Amazing, very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Brigadier Apte, sir. I think we need to know a lot about ground operations, and we are thinking of calling you also to be a speaker to understand all about ground operations part during 71, because you happen to be on both the sides of the border. And you, as you rightly say, that you blindfolded that flight lieutenant also. I think you made a history of itself. So we will be requesting Pathak Sab, and we will be requesting you for one session, sir. I think that would give a lot of clarity in us, because you are an expert. All the times you are adding colors or adding value to our discussions. So wonderful, sir.
Absolutely.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, TDS.
Yes, sir. Pathak sir, let's open the forum for others before you speak. You may kindly speak. DW Pathak sir.
Mr. TBR, can I just make one point?
Kindly, sir. Kindly. Welcome, sir.
Nayyar, sir, as far as the deployment of a squadron at Jessore was concerned, if you permit me, I'll just amplify. There was no squadron which physically got deployed in Jessore at the airfield, at least till the surrender took place on the 17th. 30 squadron had moved out. 22 squadron had got deployed on ORP platforms at Dum Dum Airport. And as you very correctly said, the thinning out of the Air Force commenced from 10th December onwards. However, the squadron continued there, because I tell you, our medium regiment, 78 medium regiment, knocked out the ACT, the air control tower at Jessore Airfield, on the 8th of December. We captured Jessore on 7th morning. The firing on the ACT had commenced as part of the artillery bombardment on the 6th. And here I must compliment the Indian Air Force for the close air support that we got in the number of fighter bomber missions on Jessore and at a place called Ramnagar. It was absolutely superb. And the bomb lines which we put on the fire plant task tables were very accurately well defined. So that is a major point of concern for listeners, that unless the bomb line is clearly demarcated, sometimes the airstrikes can be a threat to the ground forces who are closing in onto the objective. And like the artillery fire lifts at 200 meters, the bomb line is a safe line up to 1 kilometer, because it's difficult to pinpoint targets from the air. But that air effort was superb. So after that, when the ACT had been knocked out, as very correctly brought out by Nayyar sir, the Air Force requirement diminished, and thinning out of the Air Force squadrons had commenced from the 9th and 10th of December. But the squadron landing at Jessore did not take place, at least to the best of our knowledge, till 17 December, because we were racing towards Khulna, and Jessore was held by us, by one of the battalion groups which was securing Jessore for forming a pivot for the subsequent movement, because there was some talk of 2 corps making a diversionary offensive onto Dhaka after crossing the ferry. But that also didn't happen, because we were hit hard by the 107 Brigade outside Shiramani, Daulatpur, Giltala and Shamganj. So the final battle was a stiff one to capture Khulna. So these are my little small additions to what Nayyar sir had said.
Sir,
Thank you, sir.
I have two questions for you.
Yes, sir.
Because you people are hand to hand, face to face. And my two questions are, first thing, I was told, because I was based in Panagar, and we had an army controlled POW camp also, which I wanted to visit, but the colonel in charge said, no, don't go. You will not be happy. So, okay. So then he told us, he said, what happens when we are face to face with the enemy army? Neither side spares the other. You either shoot the fellow or you bayonet him, and the end of the story, because they don't take prisoners, nor do we. That is one issue he told us. Secondly, he said, of course, which was not done by Indians so much as was done by the Pakistanis, apparently they gouged out the eyes of our Indian soldiers. I want to know the reality. Is this really true? Is that how it happens?
Sir, I'll answer both your questions. Firstly, yes,
sir.
Yes, sir. The observation made, you see, when we are in hand-to-hand combat, when we are in direct contact with the enemy of the ground forces, there is tremendous hatred, and there is very little human angle which comes in. So what that officer told you is 90% correct. 10%, of course, like I have been witness to the surrender on 17th in Khulna, and the Indian Army showed lot of empathy for the Pakistani prisoners. But this story about the gouging of the eyes and torturing is absolutely correct. It has happened to a schoolmate of mine. I'll give out his name also here today. There's nothing to hide. He was Lieutenant Samir Chandavarkar of 45 Cavalry, my schoolmate from Sindhya School, Gwalior. We were together in war before in the concentration area at Kanchrapara. I was supporting his regiment 45 Cavalry. He was with the Alpha Squadron which went to Darsana and Kushtia sector. The rest of 45 Cavalry, less that squadron, was on our front for the Battle of Garibpur, capture of Jessore and capture of Khulna. Lieutenant Samir Chandavarkar was tortured by the Pakistanis, and exactly what you mentioned was done to him. Unfortunately, this happened, and I must place on record that the Pakistanis have been very brutal in this particular aspect. As far as the Indian Army is concerned, I don't think, to the best of my knowledge, we have ever done this. Incidentally, we treated their prisoners very well. I was one of the junior most officers assigned the task of rounding up 55 Field Regiment of the Pakistan Artillery and 38 Frontier Force and 6 Punjab. I met their brigade commander, I met their commanding officers, and we had a cup of tea with them. They were very cordial with us, and I met the Pakistani soldiers who undoubtedly mentioned to me, "साहब, अगर हमारे फौज में हिंदुस्तान के जैसे अफसर होते तो ऐसी हालत हमारी कभी नहीं होती." It was an apparent.
I've heard that before, sir. This is a cap, a feather in the cap of Indian Army. That
yes, sir.
Most Pakistani people say, that is the Jawans and the other ranks and everybody, that if we had our officers like Indian Army, different game altogether. I've heard that before as well, sir, which goes as a great compliment to the Indian Army, I would say. Very well done, you all, because we can only fly few aeroplanes here and there and do some bombing. But finally, the control has to rest with the Army. Takeover has to take place with the Army, by the Army. Air Force or the Navy cannot take over. Very well done, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Brigadier sir, for your wonderful commentary on this. And sir, was that person survived that brutality, Lieutenant Samir?
No, he was killed in action, and that was the end of him. Very sad story. Okay. He was a young officer, just a year older than me. I was just 20. He was 21 or probably 22. He was my schoolmate, and his father also was a lieutenant colonel of the British Indian Army, and his father unfortunately had died before the 71 war. So his mother brought up the two sisters, his younger sister. The family was shattered, and we never told the mother the news that he had been killed in action. She passed away 3 years ago at the age of 92, in the belief that he was a prisoner of war but not yet returned by Pakistan. Samir Chandavarkar's younger sister became insane. She's in a rehabilitation home. The youngest sister is alright. She's in Bangalore. I am in touch with her. The family was totally shattered.
Sir, even today,
salute to the brave heart.
Even today, we are being told that we have 42 pilots of 71 war held back by Pakistan and not returned. And we went and returned 93,000 soldiers of Pakistan Army, we should not have done that magnanimous gesture unless all our pilots were returned. Some of those pilots were the married lot. They were very sad thing that for donkey's years, some of the wives, one of them is a very famous, you might have heard of V.V. Tambe, 85th course of the Air Force. His wife till date believes, she is now an old lady, but she still believes that he is held by Pakistanis. This is the life, terrible life as far as soldiers go.
Brigadier sir, if you can throw some light on this.
Yes, I'll tell you. In fact, sir, Damayanti Tambe I know very well, and
yes,
I know about Flight Lieutenant V.V. Tambe also, and I know Wing Commander Parulkar very well. I meet him in Pune. In fact, I was the MC or the Master of Ceremonies for launching of his book in Bombay. There was a great honor done by the corporate sector for the Indian Armed Forces in 2016. I know Dilip Parulkar very well, and this mention that you have made about this lady and people waiting for to come back, it is absolutely true. There are 54 Indian soldiers also, officers, JCOs and other ranks, who are believed to be prisoners still with Pakistan. So
just an interjection, my thought that besides having planned initial thrust by Indira Gandhi.
Yeah, so you see what Nayyar sir was saying is absolutely correct. But the belief of 95,000 prisoners and all, in fact, I have done one-day duty outside the prisoner of war camp also in Ranchi. This was in 1973 after we came back from the Western Front. Yeah. So 8 Madras was looking after the PW camp at Ranchi, Nampur. And it was just like, if you have seen the movie Great Escape, the wire fencing, the searchlights, everything was like that. I was a newly promoted captain, and I happened to be there for one day. So I spent that night doing the duty of, not exactly the duty, but I joined 8 Madras company, which was looking after the prisoner of war camp. So one has an idea, and the Pakistani prisoners have complimented the Indian Army. I know 2 officers who accompanied the prisoner of war train from Bangladesh into India, and their officers were all praised, Pakistani officers. Some of them are still in contact with our officers who attended to them in the prisoner of war camps. So I think India has been a very fair country observing the Geneva Conventions, which unfortunately Pakistan doesn't do. So that's a great lesson to be learned. And we, the ground forces, actually know what happens, because as all the Air Force pilots know, they complete their mission and go back. But I will not hesitate in saying that any war victory is a joint effort between the Army, Navy and the Air Force, and that has been adequately proved in the 1970s.
Absolutely correct. You are right, sir. Absolutely. Joint efforts.
Absolutely a joint effort. The Army can't do anything unless the Air Force gives us their tremendous support, because they are the ones who carry out long-term interdiction, short-term interdiction, all the fighter bomber missions. So I think it's a great role. Even the airborne offensive could not have been done unless the Air Force. The helicopter pilots enable these special helicopter operations for the capture of Sirte, the crossing of the Meghna River. So TBR Saab and Pathak Saab, when you plan the 1 lecture or 2 lectures that you plan,
with you and Brigadier Voglage.
He's the hero of the Battle of Hilli, where there were hundreds of casualties, and there were a number of Mahavir Chakra award winners. There was gallantry shown by 20 years old and 21 years old. And the best part about our Indian Army is that the young officers lead from the front. Our frontline leadership, combat leadership, I think, will beat any army in the world. We may not have the same kind of weapons and equipment like the Americans or the Chinese or the British, but in hand-to-hand leadership qualities and the fighting capabilities, having fought the war in 71 and having seen what happened in Kargil, of course from a remote distance, I will unhesitatingly say that the Indian Army, Navy and the Air Force are one of the finest in the world.
Great, sir. Very well said, sir. So it is not the machine, the man behind the machine that matters, and our officers led from the front always. So yeah, sir, Nayyar sir, please unmute and speak, sir. Yes.
Yeah, I have only one regret, which I said that we should have kept a ransom-like thing, 15,000 or 10,000 prisoners of war till we got all our prisoners of war back.
Absolutely.
Otherwise,
yes,
Pakistan
sir.
is a nasty, very nasty country, very nasty nation.
Yes, sir, you are absolutely right.
Absolutely, sir. But it was the decision of the government, not our military rulers, that made the difference.
Yes, I agree. That's why I'm saying that only one mistake Indira Gandhi made.
Sir.
That's a
Sir.
date we are paying. Okay, sir.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you, Brigadier Apte sir, for your wonderful clarity on all these operations part, including that POWs. And yes, sir, Balinga sir, I think you are ready to ask.
Sir, we are proud of you. Your professional skill. You were picked up for Mr. PR aircraft. Also, you were picked up for Su-7 aircraft without any specified thing. I got an opportunity to work with Su-7 at Ambala 222 Squadron when Wing Commander Hariharan was commanding and 32 Squadron Wing Commander Patni was commanding. So I got an opportunity. Okay. Yes, sir. I would like to know Mr. Wing Commander Hariharan whereabouts. Second point, sir. When you went on first mission to Eastern Sector, your aircraft was damaged by the Ack Ack gun and a lot of body was punctured at various places and you landed safe at Dum Dum Airport. But during that operation, whether any damage was done in East Pakistan, that is I'm interested because since your aircraft got damaged. And then we appreciate...
Yes. We continued with our attacks because my aircraft was fully flyable. Yeah. So, yes, that is how I said even in one of the attacks, not the first attack, second. The first attack, we did whatever was the target, I've forgotten. But in the first attack, pulling out of the first attack, I saw that at the ORP, there was a Sabre aircraft. So immediately in the second attack, I attacked the Sabre aircraft. So many damages were done in the first day too. As a matter of fact, 3 Sabres were lost even before the war started by Pakistani Air Force. And thereafter, within first 2 days, remaining whatever Air Force in the East Pakistan they had was either neutralized or grounded. Nobody flew after that. That is why after I think 4th or 5th, not 4th, 5th or 6th of December, there was no air opposition whatsoever. We were only just making sure that nobody is behind us. But there was no air opposition, and that is how by 7th, as Brigadier Saab said, the army was told to move their unit. By 10th, we left, our squadron flew out to Western Sector. So a lot of damage was done. As a matter of fact,
yes, sir. Yes, sir. It was a joint mission of Army, Navy, and Indian Air Force. And from Indian Air Force, Su-7, Hunter, and other cars played a wonderful role. And that role led to liberation of East Pakistan. And
what they did was the Indian Air Force MiG-21 aircraft were also positioned at Panagarh. And if necessary, we would use them as our escorts. But mainly what they were doing, they were moonlit nights during that phase. Mainly they were moonlit nights. So these MiGs will take off at night with bomb load and go and attack the Dacca Air Fields, both Tezgaon and Kurmitola. So they were, I think, 10-15 miles apart from each other. So they were totally neutralized. So even if they had Sabre aircraft, they could not fly them because runways were full of, big khaddas. Khaddas.
Okay.
And Air Force carried on doing that every 2-3 days, so that their aeroplanes cannot fly. So that's why they were neutralized.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I think we have many other people waiting for this thing.
Thanks a lot,
Thank you, Balinga, sir. And Pathak, sir, if you'd like to ask anything. General Pathak, sir.
I am thankful to you, sir, for honoring my request and coming and giving us this wonderful narration. So it's a lovely session. Definitely, I am writing a book and copy will be given to all the people, those who are participating at free of charge. I will definitely make sure that and wish you all the best, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. You are doing a lot for uniting all the people and celebrating 71 Golden Jubilee celebrations on Zoom call at a time when the pandemic is threatening the whole world. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And sir, anybody else who can raise their hand so that Naidu Garu?
If you start distributing the book free of charge, how will you survive then?
No, Air Force taught him how to survive. Air Force taught him.
I will do that at least for the people those who are writing, those articles are there.
Yeah, for the heroes, for all the heroes.
And others
anyway, wish you the very best.
Yeah, Nayyar, please.
Sir, I congratulate everyone who has participated in this, and I feel very, very proud. Side by side in 71 as well as 69, I was also working in Tufani, Mystery, Mister, and later in MiG-21 aircrafts. Though I was not particularly in these squadrons which are mentioned by our heroes now, I was just besides working in these aircrafts. All my memories are getting now recollected, and we are so proud to hear from you. And it's a wonderful platform where so many heroes are assembling, and I personally thank our Brigadier Apte Saab having connecting Air Force and Army in our success story. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we all should be grateful to Apte sir giving wonderful.
Yes,
yes, sir. CP Singh sir.
Sir, we are thankful to Wing Commander Nayyar sir. He is one of the heroes of our country who gave victory to the India, who gave victory to the armed forces. And being hit his aircraft by bullets, he brought safely, landed bravery. And I thank Rao sir, Patak sir, and especially Brigadier Apte sir, who is contributing every time. And I thank all members giving their valuable contribution and increasing my knowledge by every meeting, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Then Raghavanji, okay.
Sir, my simple question to Commander Dinesh Nayyar, sir. So there is a facility called, rather initially you are told that there was a huge noise and sound of the bullets were coming and your ear getting hot. That practice was there in small kit range at Halwara. The present result might be recently around 20 years back. Small kit range at Halwara and one more SK range at Pokhran. But similar facility was not there in the eastern sector for fighter pilots for the testing their guns and bombing.
Yes, there was. There was. I know. I have fired from near Halwara to ground, air to ground range, and I have used near Pune also. There is a range.
Yes.
And of course, in near Klaikunda, the range is either Dudgundi, which is for air to ground, and in near Klaikunda at Balasore, there is a range for which is for air to air firing.
Air to air, Balasore it is there is air to air.
Yeah. So we have done firing everywhere. I mean, at least I was fortunate to be both in western sector and eastern sector at some time or the other. So we do practice firing, and as a matter of fact, there is something called every year there is at command level there is a gunnery meet where squadrons take part within the command for air to ground and more so air to air ground, but sometimes air to air also firing, and depending upon which squadron has done how well, it gets the trophy. That's how it goes.
Nayyar sir, just give me 2 minutes, please.
Yes, sir. No, there was an incoming call.
I was in 26 Squadron during wartime. As I believe, we were covering the Cham sector also, where we made a lot of loss of aircraft. Is it true?
Which? No. In 26 Squadron?
Yes, sir.
What happened?
Cham sector we operated.
I have no idea of, because we were either in Panagarh most of the war and then we shifted to Amritsar. Only those who were with Adampur or with the 26th Squadron would have the clear picture.
Okay. Sir, next, anybody, sir? Vasu, Mr. Vasu.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And I congratulate you.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Wing Commander Bawal was our OC.
Okay.
And
that was then.
Air Commodore, in 71 war, Air Commodore Akhte was not there.
It was Air Commodore Ranbir Singh.
Yes, sir. So we were preparing about a year before the war, and we did not face any problem during war. Is it? Am I correct?
Yes, very much. And more, as a matter of fact, Air Commodore Ranbir Singh, who later became the CNC SWAC, and he was such a strict guy, in the squadrons. Local villagers used to be acting as tea club person or the other. They would walk through. He blocked all the fencing and he blocked everything. There was only one gate open. You had to come through that main gate only if anybody had to come or go out.
Okay,
he was very strict.
Okay, next, Mr. Manjunath, if you'd like to ask.
The narration given by Wing Commander Nayyar was as if we were actually participating in the war today.
Yes.
It was very exciting, and I cannot describe. It's really exciting. Thank you so much for giving that first-hand experience of the war. Though while we were in Air Force,
who's calling?
we couldn't.
Thank you, Mr. Manju.
I'll call you back on this number.
I am a very just a junior member of this war. So just I want to ask, sir, whatever I was in Ambala. So after war, about this, sir, whatever they have said about the POW. In the afternoon, we used to put the radio on, and we used to hear on the All India Radio that they were publishing all the POWs. They used to speak. That is, I am so and so, मैं हवालदार बोल रहा हूँ, अगर ये मेरी बात कोई सुन रहा है पाकिस्तान, तो वो अपने घर में अपने आदमी को बता दे कि मैं यहाँ पे ठीक हूँ, मुझे कुछ तकलीफ नहीं है. ऐसा like this they used to announce, and it was about 1.5 or 2 hours it was carrying on. So all the POWs, they used to tell about themselves that they are safe in India. And if someone is listening to them in Pakistan, they should convey this message to their relatives. So like this, if Pakistan would have been done, the POWs, those who are in Pakistan, if they were making like this system to announce the POW, so that we should have come to know that actually those who are there as a POW, we should have come to know, and their families would have been at least somewhat safe, or they could have fight about the future to make sure that they are coming back again to the India. But this has been not done, sir. Only this is what I have.
So they should have done. Pakistan's never played a fair game, always foul game only. Yes, sir. Nayyar sir, anything from your side?
They have not.
That's all. No, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. I think we, in fact, took the permission for half an hour. You were kind enough to be on the call almost for 2 hours. So thank you for your energy, and we acknowledge your greatness in continuing the call for such almost 2 hours without any break. Thank you, sir. We wish you a great health ahead, and so India always remembers the services you have rendered, selfless services.
Thank you, sir. All of you, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sir, finally, Nayyar Saab, if you want to give any message to our air warriors from your
message. I think all I will want to say is that as Army and Navy and Air Force, we should not think in terms of Air Force or in terms of Army. We are all together as armed forces, and we should think that way. It is the coordination and cooperation amongst all of us.
Well said, sir.
And
well said.
On those lines only, now the CDS has been formed, Chief of Defence Staff, who will coordinate all the three forces.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes. I hope so. I am not very sure, sir.
It will happen. Let us be optimistic, sir. It is good for our country.
Why not? Why not? Okay, even if it is not this, maybe the next one. We never know. Okay, sir. Bye-bye, and thank you.
Bye-bye, sir. All the best.